Chapter 1163, Laws Ineffective, Strength is King. The book lightly passed through the wind wall, and with no flower monsters chasing him, Lin Moyu was in no hurry. After the wind calmed down, Lin Moyu resumed his rapid pace, moving faster and faster. The manor was vast, and despite so many people entering, he hadn't encountered anyone. Lin Moyu continued forward, quickly reaching the 5,000-kilometer mark. From the starting point to the manor, it was a total of 10,000 kilometers, and he had already covered half the distance. The fierce wind swept through again, like a tornado, lifting large swathes of flowers and grass. The flowers and grass were blown away, revealing the ground, which was littered with pale corpses. The headless corpses, with 2 legs and 4 arms, were the same as those seen before. Scanning the area, there were 3 corpses in total. From 1 corpse previously, it had now become 3. The corpses suddenly stood up, coming to life. Flowers formed armor, and green grass became swords, instantly transforming into 3 flower monsters. The 3 flower monsters were identical in appearance and height. Lin Moyu's body still didn't sense any danger, indicating that these 3 creatures were not strong. If the previous test had been difficult, this time the danger would have increased significantly. The flower monsters had multiplied from 1 to 3, making the challenge several times harder. But for Lin Moyu, it made no difference. Whether it was 300 or 30,000, it was all the same. A skeleton god mage appeared, wielding a skeleton staff and casting spells. The skeleton god warrior used physical attacks, while the skeleton god mage specialized in law-based attacks. The skeleton staff glowed faintly, invoking the law of undeath, and exploded instantly. Lin Moyu struck first, causing the 3 flower monsters to explode, their flower armor nearly shattered. The massive impact sent the 3 flower monsters flying over 100 meters. The air was filled with broken flower petals, creating a colorful and beautiful scene. However, the petals quickly reversed direction, flying back towards the flower monsters.
They're not dead?
Lin Moyu thought as the flower monsters, which had been blown away, returned, attacking him again. The gaps in their bodies and the broken armor were rapidly repaired by the flowers. At this moment, the skeleton god mage's spell was on cooldown and couldn't attack again. Lin Moyu summoned 3 more skeleton god mages. Each mage targeted a flower monster, casting spells simultaneously. The staff glowed, and with a roar, the 3 flower monsters were blown away again. The same spell, when used against 3 targets instead of 1, had a significantly different effect. More flowers were blown into the air, and Lin Moyu saw the flower armor shatter even more severely, but it still didn't harm the flower monsters' bodies. They attacked again, and their armor was quickly repaired. Lin Moyu summoned a skeleton god archer, but the archer couldn't lock onto their souls. They had no souls. The flower monsters were now within striking distance. Lin Moyu retracted the skeleton god mages and blocked their attacks himself. His bone armor glowed, and the spell automatically counterattacked. In the white light, the 3 flower monsters were blown away again, but they still didn't die. Lin Moyu clearly saw the bone spears tear through the flower armor, and the bone fangs struck the white bones, making a clanging sound. The attack seemed fierce but didn't cause fatal damage.
I understand now.
Lin Moyu thought, having found the answer. A Death Knight, riding a white flame warhorse, appeared before him. The Death Knight charged, instantly smashing 1 flower monster. The immense impact, combined with powerful physical attacks, caused the flower monster to shatter in mid-air. The Death Knight then charged at the remaining 2 flower monsters, slicing them cleanly with his sword.
Their resistance to laws is strong. It seems that here, the effectiveness of laws is greatly reduced. To kill them, one must rely on physical attacks and pure strength. Laws are ineffective, strength is king. What is the origin of this manor? Is it a place for pure strength cultivators?
Pure strength cultivators don't rely on any laws, not even physical laws, constantly enhancing their strength and breaking their limits. Such people only appeared in legends and were not human. In the current world, cultivation mainly focused on the soul, and physical cultivation had been largely abandoned, except for those born with strong bodies. The flower monsters died. Their bodies disappeared, leaving behind 3 fingernail-sized crystals. Lin Moyu picked them up, and the crystals suddenly attracted each other, merging into a slightly larger crystal.
Interesting.
Curious, Lin Moyu took out the crystal he obtained from the previous test, and it also merged with the new one, forming a slightly larger, delicate diamond-shaped crystal. Now wasn't the time to study it, so Lin Moyu put the crystal away and continued forward.
If I'm not mistaken, the next test should have a safe passage again.
Based on his and Xian Huang's guess, a safe passage appeared every 3 tests, giving the tester a chance to exit. After walking 100 kilometers, another wind wall appeared, identical to the previous test. Passing through the wind wall, he continued forward. The ancient buildings of the manor seemed closer, but Lin Moyu knew it was an illusion. The buildings were just a guide, only becoming clear upon reaching the destination. At the 6,000-kilometer mark, everything was quiet. Lin Moyu saw that the flowers and grass ahead were denser and taller. A sudden gust of wind made Lin Moyu mutter,
"Here it comes."
Flowers and grass flew in the air, revealing 10 corpses on the ground. A white glowing portal appeared nearby, indicating the safe passage. The test was clear. If one couldn't handle the 10 flower monsters, they should enter the safe passage before the monsters revived. Anyone with common sense would understand this. In the strong wind, the corpses stood up, flowers forming armor and grass forming swords. Knowing the strength of the flower monsters and the manor's intent, Lin Moyu didn't waste time. 10 skeleton god warriors appeared, each facing a flower monster. 10 axes swung, and the scene fell silent. Lin Moyu collected 10 crystals, merging them with the previous ones, and continued forward. As before, the flowers and grass grew taller, indicating a change in the environment and the test. After 3,000 kilometers, flowers appeared. After 6,000 kilometers, the flowers and grass grew taller, indicating a change in the test. The flowers and grass soon exceeded Lin Moyu's height, becoming extremely dense. As he moved forward, the flowers and grass parted, creating a path, avoiding contact with him. The sound seemed to disappear, becoming eerily quiet. The strange flowers and grass seemed to absorb sound, making Lin Moyu more alert. His body tensed, sensing something was wrong. Suddenly, his right arm tightened, and a chill spread. A sense of danger felt only by the body surged. 1164, 1164. Chapter 1164. The opponent is also a skeleton army. The sense of danger escalated to its peak in less than 0.1 seconds. Lin Moyu didn't have enough time to think, and his body didn't need to think either. Almost instinctively, he swung a punch backward. Lin Moyu felt as if his fist had struck a piece of steel, and a figure was sent flying. Although he couldn't see it, he could infer from the way the flowers and grass parted to the sides. Someone had tried to ambush him but was repelled by his preemptive strike. This was an instinct Lin Moyu had developed through countless battles. He had transformed into various professions and learned different combat styles. He was familiar with all kinds of weapons and combat routines. Although he hadn't fought personally in recent years, his combat instincts were ingrained in his body. Now, facing an ambush, he instinctively counterattacked and repelled the enemy. Lin Moyu didn't pursue, knowing this was part of the test. His gaze penetrated the gaps in the flowers and grass, still able to see the direction of the ancient buildings, and he continued forward. The eerie silence made the atmosphere tense. Lin Moyu's entire body tensed slightly, and his pace quickened. The flowers and grass continuously parted to make way for him, and after he passed, they returned to their original state. Even if Lin Moyu deliberately stepped on them, it had no effect. The sense of danger returned. When it reached its peak, Lin Moyu paused and leaped lightly, jumping over 10 meters high, beyond the range of the flowers and grass. The sense of danger followed him, and the one who had ambushed him also leaped up. Lin Moyu turned to see a silver skeleton. This silver skeleton was only 1 meter tall, with half its body missing. It had no head and no lower body, holding a dagger glowing with green light, aiming at him. Lin Moyu had seen many skeletons, but this was the first time he had seen one like this. With a thought, a skeleton god warrior appeared behind him. The skeleton god warrior used its body to block the opponent's dagger while striking the opponent with an axe. With a crisp sound, the headless, lower bodiless skeleton was shattered on the spot. Lin Moyu retracted the skeleton god warrior and continued forward through the grass. He couldn't fly here, and he felt that leaping might be even more dangerous.
The first 3 tests mainly assessed adaptability. The next 3 tests assessed direct combat ability. Now it seems to be testing actual combat skills.
Lin Moyu quickly analyzed. Since it was a test, it must have a purpose and couldn't be random.
From now on, there won't be a test every 1,000 kilometers. It's like I've entered a real battlefield, facing danger at any moment.
Lin Moyu was confident in his guess. He thought he was probably right. Recalling the various dungeons and secret realms he had experienced, he smiled.
It's been a long time since I've felt this kind of excitement.
The current situation made Lin Moyu excited, and his eyes filled with battle intent as he charged forward. As he advanced, ambushes came from all directions. Using his body's reactions, Lin Moyu accurately identified the direction of each ambush and easily neutralized them. After running several hundred kilometers, the frequency of ambushes increased exponentially. Attacks often came from multiple directions simultaneously and became more bizarre. With a body at the peak of true god, Lin Moyu could completely ignore these ambushes. The attacks weren't strong, and as long as one's body reached the 6th tier of true god, they could easily handle them. Even if Lin Moyu did nothing, the ambushers would struggle to harm him. However, Lin Moyu cooperated with the test, summoning several skeleton god generals to crush each ambusher. What interested Lin Moyu was that all the ambushers were half-skeletons. From the initial flower monsters to the current half-skeletons, and the fire-breathing skulls Tang Zhen encountered, it seemed the manor's owner had a fondness for skeletons. This combat test didn't affect Lin Moyu much. He smoothly passed through the grass. The sound of wind returned to his ears, and the world, silent for thousands of kilometers, returned to normal. The grass behind him swayed in the wind. The ambushers in the grass had all retreated. Lin Moyu had perfectly passed the combat test in the grass. He was now only 500 kilometers away from the ancient buildings in the manor. The green grassland ahead was flat and unobstructed. It looked just like the scene when he first entered the manor. If not for the buildings guiding the way and the tall grass behind him, Lin Moyu might have thought he had taken a wrong turn. It was too similar. With less than 1,000 kilometers to go, Lin Moyu resumed running. It wouldn't take long to cover 1,000 kilometers.
I wonder how the others are doing. Given the difficulty of the test, 99% of them probably won't make it. The death rate should be high. I wonder how many will survive. Even Tang Zhen got a fist-sized crystal, while I only got a small piece. It seems a bit unreasonable.
As he approached the manor, the buildings, which had remained unchanged, finally began to grow larger in his vision, indicating he was getting closer. Just as he was about to reach his destination, a bright light caught Lin Moyu's attention. A glowing portal appeared directly in front of him. If he didn't change direction, he would run right into it.
A safe passage?
Lin Moyu was slightly taken aback. It looked exactly like the previous safe passages.
Why is there a safe passage here?
Confused, Lin Moyu instinctively slowed down and stopped at the entrance of the safe passage.
Safe passages always appear with tests. Its appearance means there will be another test. The final test.
Based on his experience and guesswork, Lin Moyu concluded.
Adaptability, direct combat ability, and actual combat skills. What will the final test be? The difficulty should be high and very dangerous. Otherwise, the safe passage wouldn't appear here. This is a warning. If you don't want to die, give up now.
Lin Moyu muttered to himself and walked past the safe passage. Having come this far, there was no way he would give up now. As he passed the safe passage, it disappeared like a bubble. Lin Moyu laughed.
No chance for regrets, huh?
The safe passage was the last chance to give up and exit safely. Since Lin Moyu had given it up, the safe passage disappeared, taking away his chance to regret. After the safe passage vanished, the sound of synchronized footsteps suddenly echoed ahead. Lin Moyu's pupils contracted sharply. He saw an army. 1165 1165. Chapter 1165. A world of pure death. A skeleton army. Lin Moyu's eyes lit up with intense interest. He hadn't expected to see another skeleton army besides his own undead legion. The death energy in the space became extremely dense, and gusts of wind stirred the death energy. Even cultivators with the weakest soul perception could feel the unusual aura at this moment, let alone Lin Moyu. In his eyes, the invisible death energy had accumulated into clouds, shrouding the skeleton army. The number of skeletons wasn't large, just 1,000-man unit, arranged in a phalanx, looking well-trained. Through sensing the death energy, Lin Moyu judged that these skeletons weren't strong. They were even weaker than the flower monsters and the ambushers in the grass. Their combat power was estimated to be around the 4th tier of True God. However, their large numbers, multiplied by 100, significantly increased the danger. According to Lin Moyu's judgment, with strength suppressed and the power of laws greatly weakened, it would be very difficult for ordinary cultivators to deal with this skeleton army. Only a god sovereign entering here would have a chance to break through. Even with suppressed cultivation, a god sovereign generally had a physical body at the 6th tier of True God or higher, or even at the peak of True God. Alternatively, some races that excelled in physical strength might also have a chance to break through. From the moment he entered the manor until now, there had been no prompts. The entire manor remained mysterious, with all the rules needing to be explored by oneself. This was different from dungeons, which always provided some hints. Even test-type dungeons would tell you what to do, but in the manor, nothing was said. All the specific rules had to be thought through and explored by oneself, greatly increasing the difficulty. Fortunately, one principle remained unchanged. Overwhelming strength could crush all techniques. As long as the strength was sufficient, one could ignore the rules and sweep through. Moreover, the strength didn't need to be too high, just enough to sweep through the manor. For example, facing the 1,000-man skeleton army ahead, other races, even those excelling in physical strength, would struggle if their physical bodies hadn't reached the 7th tier of True God. They had two choices: either charge through without entangling with the skeletons, rushing into the central house of the manor, as the house was not far away, or fight in a roundabout way, finding opportunities to eliminate the skeletons one by one. But that would waste a lot of time and carry significant risks. However, Lin Moyu had a third option: to kill his way through, eliminating all the skeletons and sweeping through. With a thought, a large number of skeleton god warriors appeared beside him. The number was just right, exactly 1,000, matching the skeleton army ahead. The skeleton god warriors swarmed out, leaping high and charging into the skeleton army. Axes struck down fiercely, and bones flew everywhere. Lin Moyu watched, feeling a bit strange, muttering to himself,
"It's like a civil war."
Skeletons fighting skeletons indeed gave that impression. However, having experienced so much, Lin Moyu had long become cold-hearted and ruthless, quickly suppressing any inappropriate emotions. In no time, the 1,000-man skeleton army was cleared out. The shattered bones disappeared, leaving behind a field of small crystals. Lin Moyu waved his hand, absorbing all the crystals. The small crystals automatically merged into one, forming a large crystal. The 4 small crystals Lin Moyu had previously obtained also joined in. The final crystal size was comparable to the one Tang Zhen had obtained. However, its purpose was still unclear, but Lin Moyu believed it must be useful. Yet, its significance might not be great, as even Tang Zhen, who had given up halfway, could obtain it. It was likely a consolation reward or a basic reward, given to anyone who could survive and leave the manor. Lin Moyu put away the crystal and continued forward. Soon, the grassy area came to an end, and Lin Moyu saw the ancient manor surrounded by bricks and stones. The bricks and stones were ancient, weathered by time, and bore the marks of the years. Additionally, the bricks and stones were filled with the aura of death, a residue accumulated over time. The intense death aura had altered the nature of the bricks and stones. If an ordinary person touched them, they would be corroded by the death aura, as if cursed, leading to severe illness or even instant death. Even a super god might be affected if they touched it. Lin Moyu placed his hand on the bricks and stones, murmuring,
"Such pure death aura."
The death aura he had sensed on the grassland earlier was several levels weaker in comparison. Walking along the wall for a while, he arrived at the manor's main gate. The gate had 2 leaves, towering over 20 meters high, level with the wall. The material of the gate was special, neither iron nor copper, but it was evidently extremely heavy. The gate was closed but not locked, with a small gap left open. Lin Moyu didn't peek through the gap like a child. He boldly pushed the gate, which slowly opened with a creaking sound, releasing a cloud of dust, indicating it hadn't been opened for a long time. Lin Moyu stepped back to avoid the dust.
"It seems I'm the first to arrive here."
Despite many people entering, their strength likely prevented them from crossing the grassland. It wasn't that they were weak, but they belonged to different systems. This place required strong physical bodies, while the races in the Great World focused more on the soul. Lin Moyu's push wasn't particularly forceful. The gate opened only a tenth of the way, revealing a gap wide enough for 3 people to enter side by side. Standing outside the gate, he couldn't see the specifics inside the manor. The buildings remained distant projections, merely indicating direction. Lin Moyu didn't hesitate and walked into the manor. Having come this far, he naturally had to go in. Otherwise, there was no point in coming. As he entered, a denser death aura greeted him. The death aura inside the manor was even more intense, like a world of death. His vision suddenly changed, and the scene before him became clear. The manor was filled with blooming flowers, vibrant and colorful. Despite the intense death aura, the flowers thrived, appearing full of life. Death and life seemed to coexist. Lin Moyu's heart trembled as he realized something. The scene before him embodied the law of undeath. Life within death, death within life. Pure death at its extreme contained resilient vitality. Lin Moyu felt a sense of enlightenment and became intensely curious about the manor. Looking up, he saw the ancient castle within the manor, now clearly visible. The castle was tall, over 100 meters high, ancient, and made of unknown materials, exuding a heavy aura. Scanning his surroundings, Lin Moyu found nothing unusual and quickly moved forward. 1166 1166. Chapter 1166. Beast Skin. Astonishing information. The manor was silent, and Lin Moyu walked alone in the quiet manor. Nothing happened until he reached the ancient castle. Standing in front of the castle, he looked up, feeling the aura of the castle. Although it couldn't speak, much could be inferred from it. This castle was different from those found in the human world of the Great World. The top was an umbrella-shaped cover extending in all directions, almost covering the entire castle. It looked somewhat like the ancient Chinese style from his previous life, a Chinese-style castle. Below it, the walls were built from special materials interwoven together. Some parts were already damaged, but the overall structure was still discernible. Lin Moyu strained his eyes to look, and the damaged parts didn't seem to be marks left by time but rather by battles. Many of the supporting materials were broken. If the battle had been more intense, the castle might have been completely destroyed. Looking further down, the surface of the castle also bore many battle scars. One sword mark left a deep scar on the castle, almost piercing the outer wall. The gate was also split open by this sword. Lin Moyu used all his strength and punched the castle. Pain shot through his fist, but the castle remained unmoved. The power of a peak true god couldn't shake the castle. Lin Moyu originally wanted to summon the Skeleton King to see if it could leave a mark on the castle, but he ultimately didn't. He didn't know what might happen if he did. In fact, he shouldn't have punched it just now. Through the split gate, Lin Moyu entered the castle. Behind the gate was a passage about 100 meters long, 10 meters wide, and over 20 meters high. The top was triangular, with beams placed across. Some beams were also damaged, showing signs of battle. The walls were full of sword marks and axe prints. However, these were much shallower, indicating that those who fought their way into the castle were not as strong as those who fought outside.
Generals fought outside, soldiers charged inside.
Lin Moyu guessed as he walked along the dark passage. The death aura here became even denser, making it somewhat eerie and terrifying, but to Lin Moyu, this aura was quite comfortable. A whistling sound came to his ears, and flames lit up ahead. 3 skulls appeared in his sight. The skulls were burning with fierce flames, charging at Lin Moyu in a triangular formation with sharp cries. Lin Moyu thought of what Tang Zhen had said. After entering the safe passage, he had entered a secret chamber and encountered flaming skulls. Lin Moyu couldn't be sure if the flaming skulls before him were the same as those Tang Zhen's team encountered, but he didn't take the flaming skulls before him seriously. A flash of white light, and the skeleton god general appeared, swinging its axe at the flaming skulls. Here, Lin Moyu had already gained experience. Laws were ineffective. Physical attacks were the most effective. As long as the strength was great enough, nothing was insurmountable. Under the skeleton god warrior's axe, the 3 flaming skulls were quickly chopped to pieces. The flames scattered on the ground, still burning even as fragments. It seemed they could burn for a long time. Lin Moyu didn't sense any law aura from the flames, only high temperatures, enough to burn a true god to death. Continuing forward, he soon reached the end of the passage. At the end, there were new paths on both the left and right sides. At the end, there was an ancient table, which seemed to have held something for a long time, leaving deep marks. On the wall hung a half-destroyed painting. Even the remaining part was severely damaged, vaguely depicting a figure. The table and the painting gave Lin Moyu an inexplicable sense of strangeness, as if they were worshipping something. After looking for a while and seeing nothing more, he stopped paying attention. His gaze turned to the 2 sides, both of which were passable, requiring a choice. At this moment, Lin Moyu's pupils slightly contracted. He saw a skeleton about 10 meters away on the left side, leaning against the wall, dead for an unknown number of years. Since entering the manor, he had seen many skeletons and should have been used to it. But this skeleton was different. Firstly, it was very old. Secondly, it was humanoid. Its limbs were intact, and except for the missing head, it was no different from a human skeleton. This discovery made Lin Moyu suspicious.
Is this a person from the castle or an invader?
It was impossible to determine just from the skeleton. However, Lin Moyu had a method. A flame ignited, and Lin Moyu flicked his finger, releasing the undying flame. Stellar-level spell, Resurrection of the Dead. The flame fell on the skeleton, but instead of regenerating flesh, the skeleton turned to ash.
What's going on?
Lin Moyu was stunned. The resurrection of the dead had failed. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation, leaving him momentarily puzzled.
Is it because of the chaotic laws? Or is there another reason?
The skeleton turned to ash, and the undying flame gradually extinguished. Lin Moyu's sharp eyes noticed something in the ashes. With a wave of his hand, a gust of wind blew away the ashes, revealing an object beneath. It was a piece of beast skin, originally pressed under the skeleton, now revealed after the skeleton turned to ash. The beast skin had endured countless years without deteriorating, indicating its extraordinary nature. Although the beast skin was intact, the writing on it had faded, with some parts completely gone. When Lin Moyu saw the writing, his pupils contracted again.
Ancient Chinese.
He recognized the characters, similar to those he had seen when he first obtained the primordial rune, all in ancient Chinese. Why would ancient Chinese appear here? He didn't dwell on the question, focusing instead on deciphering the text. The writing was fragmented and chaotic, but Lin Moyu felt a sense of alarm.
We finally broke in. So many skeletons, too many. He's too strong, the marshal is dead. The ruler is also at a disadvantage. I saw the ruler making a sacrifice. Great World Rune. This is impossible. How can he be so strong?
The decipherable information was limited, and Lin Moyu struggled to piece together these fragments. He wasn't even sure if the sequence of the words was correct, as sometimes swapping two characters could change the meaning entirely. From the remaining text, Lin Moyu roughly pieced together some events. The owner of the beast's skin was an invader who fought an unimaginable battle with the manor's owner. The manor's owner could control skeletons and was incredibly powerful. Their marshal died in battle, and even their stronger ruler was at a disadvantage. However, it seemed they eventually won. At least now, the manor's owner had disappeared, and the manor was in a state of abandonment.
Ruler, is it a title, a realm, or a specific person? Great World Rune. Is it the Great World Rune? What happened to the Great World Rune?
Lin Moyu's eyes suddenly sparkled with realization, followed by a look of disbelief.
Regardless of what happened to the Great World Rune, it shouldn't be visible under normal circumstances. According to the text, did the Great World Rune become visible? How is that possible?
1167, 1167. Chapter 1167. The Manor Owner's Peculiar Hobby. The Great World Rune is elusive and cannot be directly observed. This is common knowledge. The Great World Rune never reveals itself to people. Only during the half-second when a spell ascends to the stellar level can it be glimpsed. But even then, it's just a fleeting glance, and those with weaker strength can't see it at all. At most, they might see some light, which is already the best they can hope for. Most see nothing at all. However, the record on the beast's skin stated that the Great World Rune had revealed itself. This defied common sense. Moreover, it was summoned by someone. The Great World Rune being summoned is an impossible feat, but Lin Moyu recalled that he had once seen the Great World Rune. The Great World Rune was covered in scars, nearly collapsing. His heart trembled violently.
Could it be that the Great World Rune is here, severely damaged?
Lin Moyu was also startled by his own thought. He was extremely curious about what had happened back then. The era was too ancient, so ancient that even the spell of resurrection couldn't be used. If it weren't for some special reasons, the years it had endured would be unimaginable. Lin Moyu put away the beast's skin and continued forward. The material of the beast's skin was very special. Even after so many years, it remained well preserved, indicating that the beast's skin itself was an extremely precious treasure. Since he found the skeleton on the left side, Lin Moyu chose the left path. It didn't matter whether he chose left or right. It made no difference to him. If the structure was like the buildings in his past life, the current corridor should be a loop, with both sides eventually converging, making either path the same. As he delved deeper, more corpses appeared on the ground. Not just one but 5. Their postures varied. Some leaned against the wall, while others lay in the middle of the path. Without exception, all were headless. The skeletons were intact, with no visible wounds. Whether they died because their heads were chopped off or their heads were chopped off after death was unclear. In Lin Moyu's eyes, each of these skeletons was stronger than a god sovereign in life. Even a god sovereign's corpse couldn't be preserved for so many years. At that level, even if their heads were chopped off, they wouldn't die. Their souls could survive independently, and they could even regenerate flesh and blood. Therefore, Lin Moyu speculated that these people had their heads chopped off after death. As for where the heads went, the answer was soon revealed. At the end of the path, there was another turn, this time to the right, matching his judgment. Just after the turn, Lin Moyu's body tensed, muscles tightening, sensing danger. From the left, right, behind, and above, skulls appeared simultaneously. These skulls spat water arrows from their mouths. The water arrows were transparent, looking like ordinary water, but their nature was entirely different. Lin Moyu dodged several water arrows, which hit the ground, emitting light smoke and sizzling sounds. The smoke turned into mist, obscuring vision. With soul perception suppressed, impaired vision meant extreme danger. Tang Zhen had said that his subordinates were hit by water arrows and were instantly corroded to white bones. A white light glowed on Lin Moyu's body, and his bone armor shone, blocking the water arrows. But within half a second, the bone armor shattered with a bang. Half a second was enough. Lin Moyu leaped over 10 meters, escaping the mist in an instant. The water arrows didn't pursue him. Looking back, the skulls on the walls had disappeared, and the water mist was quickly dissipating. Lin Moyu roughly understood how the previous skeletons came to be. The water arrows had astonishing corrosive properties, dissolving flesh and leaving only bones. And the heads of those people were embedded in the walls, turned into water arrow launchers. Feeling a bit creeped out, Lin Moyu thought the manor owner's hobby was quite unexpected. Although he also controlled an undead army and was a seasoned warrior, he had never used people's heads as launchers. This was not just a matter of preference. It was somewhat perverse. The first danger encountered after entering the castle was actually not much of a threat. As long as one reacted quickly, they could dodge it. If it were only this, how could those strong individuals have died here back then? Lin Moyu speculated that the great battle back then had damaged the castle's defensive facilities. What he saw now were just remnants of the past. But even these remnants, combined with the suppressive power here, were enough to trouble a god sovereign. Enough to cause a god king to fall. He first encountered flaming skulls, then water-spraying skulls, just like Tang Zhen, even in the same order. The only difference was that Tang Zhen encountered them in a secret chamber, while he encountered them in the castle. Continuing forward, more skeletons appeared on the ground. These skeletons were also headless, but different from the previous ones. These skeletons had many scratches, as if left by some sharp weapon. The skeletons' owners were incredibly powerful in life, and their bones were extremely hard. The strength of the attacks that left these marks could be imagined. Lin Moyu touched one of the skeletons, trying to examine the scratches closely. Crash! The skeleton instantly crumbled, unable to maintain its structure, scattering on the ground. The time was too long. Without external interference, the skeletons could maintain their original state. A slight external influence would cause the skeletons to collapse immediately. Lin Moyu sighed softly, no longer touching them, and continued forward. Soon, he reached the end of the passage, where another right turn appeared in his sight. Through the turn, he could see another turn on the opposite side, connecting to another path. In the middle of the passage, there was a gap.
Indeed, it's a loop, just like the structure of a wealthy family's house in my past life. A garden, a castle, and then a small forest, quite an artistic conception.
Lin Moyu spoke softly, stepping into the turn and then accelerating forward. A howling wind followed, turning into countless sharp blades sweeping towards him. Although Lin Moyu wasn't afraid, there was no need to deal with these blades. He increased his speed to the limit, sprinting through the passage. The passage wasn't long, just a few hundred meters, and he quickly reached the central gap, entering without hesitation. The wind brushed past his back, howling through the passage. Lin Moyu chuckled.
This test isn't difficult either.
The 3 tests were identical to Tang Zhen's experiences. Now he had to rely on himself to explore further. Passing through the looped corridor, he truly entered the fortress's interior. A faint light appeared ahead, and Lin Moyu saw many doors on both sides. The doors were tightly closed, and he didn't check them. Given his abilities, he might not be able to open these doors. If he did open them and encountered dangers he couldn't handle, it would be akin to seeking death. Better to avoid unnecessary trouble. Soon, he reached the end, seeing a courtyard outside the passage. To the left of the end, a door was open. The door seemed to have been forced open, split in two and lying on the ground. From outside, he could see inside the room.
A study?
Schlecht and schlecht. 1168, 1168. Chapter 1168. New Mysteries, The Sleeping Coffin. Thick, ancient books were neatly arranged on the bookshelves. Lin Moyu looked around, feeling a strong sense of age. In the current great world of the human race, books had long faded from the historical stage. Most information was now transmitted in more direct ways. Finding a few books had become very difficult. People from the small world might not be unfamiliar with books, but many born in the great world had never seen a book. The study structure was simple, with bookshelves on 3 sides, each about 2 meters high, filled with books. In the center of the study was a large desk, also covered with books, as well as paper, pens, and other items. Lin Moyu entered the study, which was covered in a thick layer of dust, indicating it had been unoccupied for a long time. His arrival left footprints on the floor. As he entered, the outside air was brought in, and a breeze blew into the study. The balance inside was disrupted, and the bookshelves in front of him suddenly collapsed into dust. This triggered a chain reaction, causing all the bookshelves and the books on them to turn to dust. Time had taken its toll, and these materials had long decayed. They had only appeared intact because they had remained undisturbed. Once the balance was broken, they turned to dust, disappearing completely. Lin Moyu felt a bit helpless. He could tell that these books had been preserved using special methods and were made of high-quality materials, not ordinary wood and paper. But they still couldn't withstand the passage of time. Dust filled the study, swirling around before finally dissipating. The last thing to disintegrate was the desk. However, Lin Moyu noticed a piece of beast skin falling from the desk, which did not turn to dust. With quick reflexes, he reached out and grabbed the beast's skin. Like the previous piece of beast skin he had obtained, this one could withstand the corrosion of time and remain intact. There were words on it, written in ancient Chinese, which Lin Moyu could understand. However, the passage of time had taken its toll. Although the beast's skin could endure time, the ink could not. The ink had dried up, and only a few words were still legible.
They still attacked, taking advantage of the master's absence. Where did the master go? He should be fighting too, battling their strongest. Don't know if it's a win or a loss. I can't do much, just hold on. To kill me, they must pay a price.
The information was fragmented. After reading it, Lin Moyu fell into deep thought. The same type of beast skin, but recorded from different perspectives. The first piece of beast skin was written by the invaders. The second piece was written by the owner of the manor. It was strange that both the invaders and the manor's owner had the same type of beast skin. Moreover, the manor's owner was described as very powerful by the invaders, having killed their marshal and suppressed their ruler, even summoning the Great World Rune. Yet, in the manor owner's record, there was an even more powerful master. If the manor's owner was already so strong, how powerful must his master be?
The beast skin mentions that his master was fighting their strongest. What is the master's identity, and who is their strongest? How strong is their strongest? Compared to the old man riding the green ox, who is stronger?
Lin Moyu couldn't help but think of the old man riding the green ox, who had wiped out countless strong individuals with a wave of his hand. The world seemed full of mysteries. In the small world, he had solved one mystery after another, thinking he had seen through the entire world and was no longer a frog in a well. But in the great world, as his understanding deepened, he realized how vast and mysterious it was. The Vermilion Bird Star region was now somewhat clear to him, and he thought the other 3-star regions wouldn't be much different. But the Divine City remained mysterious, as did the human race's divine path. Unexpectedly, new mysteries had emerged, seemingly even more terrifying. After pondering for a moment, Lin Moyu sighed helplessly.
In the end, it's still a matter of insufficient strength. No rush, I'll figure it out eventually.
Leaving the study, he walked down the corridor and into the light. Sunlight poured down from above, revealing a small garden. In the center of the garden was a stone table. Beside it was an artificial pond, and next to the pond was a vibrant tree. The tree's branches and leaves were lush, blocking the sunlight and casting dappled shadows. The scene looked harmonious and beautiful, but upon closer inspection, it was clear that something was off. The edge of the artificial pond was not lined with stones but with skulls. The garden's perimeter was also decorated with white bones. The stone table was fixed in place with bones, and even the stools beside the table were made of refined bones. Amidst the dense death aura, the vibrant tree, blooming flowers, and forest of bones created an eerie scene. On the stone table was a set of tea utensils, and beside them were books. Lin Moyu immediately understood that this was where the manor's owner liked to read. Taking books from the nearby study, he would sit here, drink tea, and read, enjoying a leisurely time. As Lin Moyu entered the garden, a breeze followed him. The books on the stone table instantly turned to dust, but the tea utensils and stone table remained intact. The stone table was made of the same material as the fortress, able to withstand the passage of time. The tea utensils seemed unusual too, likely some kind of treasure. Otherwise, they would have turned to dust long ago. As Lin Moyu reached for the tea utensils, his body suddenly tensed. Whoosh! Several black shadows whipped down from the air, and Lin Moyu quickly retreated, avoiding them. The black shadows missed and changed angles to strike again. In his retreat, Lin Moyu saw that the black shadows were the branches of the tree.
Has it gained sentience? Or has it always been like this?
Lin Moyu's mind raced, and 10 skeleton god warriors appeared, charging forward. Several skeleton god warriors leaped high, wielding axes to cut the attacking branches. The remaining warriors rushed towards the tree. As the skeleton god warriors appeared, the tree trembled violently, and its branches retracted at an astonishing speed, causing the warriors to miss their targets. Lin Moyu was slightly stunned.
What's going on?
The tree had retreated before the fight even began. Was it scared or aware it wasn't a match? Or perhaps, Lin Moyu glanced at the skeleton god warriors, noticing they seemed different from the skeletons in the manor. However, the tree clearly had its own consciousness. It had existed for countless years, so perhaps it could be questioned. The key was whether it could communicate. The branches swayed slowly, and the tree trunk leaned forward slightly, as if bowing in greeting. Lin Moyu found it even stranger.
Do you recognize me?
The branches shook, indicating it didn't. It couldn't speak or communicate through soul transmission. Although it had consciousness, it couldn't interact with the outside world. But the tree had its own way. It extended a branch, wrapped it around the stone table, and pulled hard. The stone table lifted, revealing a hole beneath it. Inside the hole was a black box. 1169, 1169. Chapter 1169. Ledger Manual, Devout Servant. The large tree swayed as if telling Lin Moyu to take out the box. Lin Moyu retrieved the box, and the tree placed the stone table back in its original position. Without the box, the stone table seemed to have become shorter. Lin Moyu placed the box on the stone table. The material of the box was very special. The fact that it could endure the passage of time without damage was enough to indicate its extraordinary nature. The tree branches swayed gently, making a rustling sound, as if urging Lin Moyu to open it. Lin Moyu did not sense any malice from the tree, nor did he feel any danger from the box. When unable to make an accurate judgment, he could only choose to try. Moreover, Lin Moyu had confidence in his own strength, especially in his ability to protect himself. As the box was slowly opened, Lin Moyu's pupils suddenly contracted. Inside the box lay a rectangular, extremely exquisite small stone coffin.
The coffin of slumber.
Lin Moyu was very surprised to find the coffin of slumber inside the box. He couldn't be mistaken because he had personally crafted a coffin of slumber before. Both its appearance and aura confirmed that it was indeed a coffin of slumber. Taking out the coffin of slumber, he found that it had already been activated, indicating that a living being was sleeping inside. He did not check further, as examining the being inside the coffin of slumber was troublesome and required a refining process, which couldn't be completed quickly. For now, he set the coffin of slumber aside, as there were other items in the box. There was a manual made of beast skin, the same type that could withstand the corrosion of time. Previously, he had only found a piece of it, but here it had been made into a manual. Lin Moyu could imagine that the beast skin must be very precious. The piece of beast skin on the study desk was likely written in haste. The information in the beast skin manual before him should be more complete. The manual was not large, just slightly bigger than a palm, like a children's book. The handwriting inside was neat and clear, not messy at all. Clearly, the writer's emotions were stable at the time, unlike the slightly messy handwriting on the beast skin in the study. Moreover, the text in the manual seemed unaffected by the passage of time, remaining very clear, as if it had been written recently. Lin Moyu guessed that this might be related to the box outside. He carefully read the contents of the manual, which were fewer than expected.
Great Master, as your most devout servant, I will obey all your commands. When you go to war, I will guard your territory, and any invaders will be killed without mercy. Your greatness is beyond anyone's imagination.
The first page contained no substantial content, just lines of flattery. Lin Moyu frowned as he read. This servant was excessively devout to his master. It was beyond mere respect. His master was his everything. To write such words, one must be devout to an extreme degree, especially for such a powerful being. Lin Moyu deeply felt the terror of the mysterious master and turned to the second page.
In the year 998 of the Undying Era, your glory shone upon Tulu. In the year 13255 of the Undying Era, your glory shone upon the Blue Sea. In the year 28553 of the Undying Era, your glory shone upon heaven.
Each time point was followed by a phrase. For several pages, it was the same. The time points were impossible to verify, making it unclear what the Undying Era represented. The following names seemed to be places, indicating invasions of various locations. Every 10,000 years or so, a new place was invaded. Lin Moyu counted and found that 4 pages recorded a total of 18 places, spanning 300,000 years. He wondered if their years were the same length as those in his world.
Is this a ledger?
Lin Moyu found it strange. The manual seemed like a ledger, with nothing but flattery on the first page. He had expected a diary that might provide more information, but he was somewhat disappointed. At the bottom of the box, he found another piece of beast skin. This one was much newer than the manual, and the handwriting was also much fresher. The handwriting was messy, but not in a panicked way. It conveyed a sense of weakness.
He's injured.
Lin Moyu speculated about the situation at the time.
Great Master, I have defended the manor. Although this manor is insignificant in your eyes, it must not be invaded. They used a special method, making their dead unusable to me. The enemy was strong, but I still won. I killed their marshal, their ruler, and all of them. Your castle was damaged, and some of your play areas inside were disrupted. The garden outside seems to have been invaded by external forces and has changed. But it doesn't matter. They are all dead. I have killed them all. I am injured. Following your command, I will enter the coffin of slumber, waiting for your return to awaken me again. Great Master, your most devout servant awaits your call.
By the end, the handwriting had become very faint, as if the writer had no strength left to continue. Lin Moyu knew that the writer was at his last moment. If he didn't enter the coffin of slumber soon, he might die. In the coffin of slumber, time would not pass. He would remain the same upon awakening.
He hopes his master can save him. He has great confidence in his master. Unfortunately, so much time has passed, and his master has not appeared. It seems his master also met with misfortune. It's truly dangerous. Even at that level, absolute safety cannot be guaranteed.
Lin Moyu felt a sense of caution, constantly reminding himself not to be careless. This world was far more dangerous than he had imagined. One wrong step could lead to downfall. Lin Moyu put away the beast skin, finally piecing everything together. The beast skin in the study was written before the great battle in haste. The piece in his hand was written after the battle. The beast skin manual was actually a ledger. Apart from the flattery on the first page, the rest was just accounting, which didn't provide much useful information to Lin Moyu. In Lin Moyu's understanding, this might have been a war between races, a very brutal and intense war. He put all the beast skins back into the box and then stored the box away. He kept the coffin of slumber separately. After some thought, he placed the last piece of beast skin with the coffin of slumber. This piece of beast skin could be considered the manor manager's will and should be kept with the coffin of slumber. Lin Moyu scanned the garden and found the path to continue forward.
I didn't expect this to be the master's playground. Perhaps for beings of that level, the dangers here are truly insignificant. After the great battle, some changes occurred here, making it different, unrecognizable, and eventually becoming what it is now.
Lin Moyu pondered as he left the garden and entered the center of the castle. After he left, the large tree in the garden began to tremble violently, and ripples spread across the pond beside it. Inaudible vibrations quickly spread throughout the entire castle. 1170.